The one thing I always had was persistence. I never fucking gave up. So if you want advice from me, I think you should embrace failure because you're going to get up and do it again the next day.
Many people that are watching this, it's obviously public knowledge, you have just sold your company for a bit over $60 million.
That's true.
Very interesting, you're so humble still.
Really? Talk to my wife.
Having company that you just sold about $60 million, and a lot of people just see everything from this perspective. You know, he's lucky, he can do whatever he likes now, he can buy whatever he wants. But take me back to your journey. 9 years old, coming here from Iran.
That's a long time ago, but yeah.
A lot has happened.
A lot has happened. You're right though, I think certainly with a lot of the internet businesses, a lot of people see the success.
Yes.
And they don't see anything under the success. You know, it's like that iceberg picture with the success and all that
100% correct.
And look, that's just a case of how people think, and I do get a little bit annoyed when people call it luck.
Yes.
Because Car Advice was the 17th business that I started, and I think considering...
So you were not lucky 17 times.
If I failed 16 times, I was pretty fucking unlucky.
Yes.
Because if I was lucky, I would have succeeded a lot earlier.
16 times, 17 times.
Right? So, yeah, you're right. I came here when I was 9 with my mum and dad. My mum was doing her PhD at UQ, University of Queensland, and my dad was doing his PhD at QUT.
Which is interesting. Now, yourself, you're a professor at UQ.
I'm an honorary associate professor at UQ.
Oh, there you go.
Correct, yes. So I also went to uni there. But yeah, we came here when I was 9, and, you know, quite a daunting thing to come to a new country, as you know yourself. But I'm very glad I did, because I think it gave me the opportunity to do all the things that I've done and meet all the people that I have. But, you know, as with any, I think people that have been born here or haven't come here at a young age don't realize how difficult that could be, like adjusting to a whole new life, new friends, new environment.
Especially being so young.
Yeah, new language. I mean, I didn't speak a word of English when I came here. Some people would say I still don't really speak a proper word of English. But you know,
I can help you with that.
Compared to you, yeah. Look, I went to school here. I went to uni here. I started my life here, really, and I have always been so petrified of having a normal job and working for someone else.
What was your first job?
My first attempt at a job was to work for Woolworths. Well, a real job, sorry. I started my first business when I was 12.
Yes.
It was an internet business. I was selling merchandise for a band illegally.
Right.
So we were making t-shirts and selling it for the Offspring.
Yes.
And they shut that down pretty quickly. But I made a reasonable amount of money.
Especially when you're 12 years old. Any money is good money.
It was fantastic. Actually, it was a couple of $100 a week here and there. But anyway, my first attempt at a real job was trying to go work for Woolworths. And I went and did the whole interview and all that. And I even tried to look presentable, which is pretty hard for me. And I didn't get the job. And I remember getting the phone call and the guy saying, "Oh, you don't really have the personality of what we're looking for." And I'm thinking, what the fuck do you mean? You just gotta go beep? Like, how hard can that be? You just go beep with some apple and an orange.
Yes.
Like, what personality is required in that, right? So it actually really affected me. I thought, I must not be, not even good enough for Woolworths. Like, it's a bit of a personal blow. And I remember that like it was yesterday, because I thanked that guy every day.
Yes.
He's probably still at Coles or Woolworths.
Yes.
And earning.
And I bet you shop now at Coles, not Woolworths still.
Honest to God, I only go to Coles since that day. I only go to Coles. It was like a personal hit. But I thank him every day, because if I'd got that job, I reckon my life path would have been very different.
Would go a different path.
Very different. But I sort of told myself then that I'm gonna go work for I'm gonna do my own thing, because you know, screw these guys. Like, I'm gonna do my own thing, and I've always done my own thing, man. I mean, the internet's an amazing place, because it gave someone like me an opportunity to run a business.
Yes.
Without really...
And even if you don't have a good personality, nobody can see it.
Well, they don't realize you're 14.
Yes, of course.
You know, so I ran so many different businesses. I ran a chain of internet cafes. I had a web design company, an SEO company. We had a website that reviewed restaurants. I used to get free food all the time, going to restaurants and stuff. So many different random terrible businesses.
Yes.
Till I finally gave up.
So you actually gave up once?
One day after the 16th business. I actually gave up. I was like, okay, maybe I need to get a normal job. And I did. I actually worked at UQ as an IT technician. So it was probably the most soul-destroying job I've had.
And how long did that job last?
6 months.
6 months?
Because I started car advice while I was at UQ.
So you couldn't help yourself?
I couldn't.
You had it in your blood and wanted to keep trying again?
The thought of working there long term, I mean, it was a great job, don't get me wrong,
Yes.
It paid me well, but I felt like...
Wasn't you?
Well, I wanted to own cars like this.
Yes.
I wanted to own a Lambo, I wanted to own a Ferrari, I wanted to do all these great things. I didn't understand how I could do that if I remained there.
Yes, of course.
You know what I mean? Like there was no path.
And you couldn't control it. You couldn't control how far you can go.
So I thought I'm going to give it one more go, but this time I'm not going to start a business because I want to make money. I'm going to start a business because I love to do that business. And I've always
Big difference.
Big difference. Passion instead of every other business I've started has always been about I'm going to fill up. Oh, there's a void in this market. Like let's start an internet cafe because we think this area needs an internet cafe.
Yes.
Terrible idea. Worst idea I've ever had.
Which is probably best advice you can give somebody.
You know, it sounds cliche, but everybody always tells you do what you love.
Yes.
And that's what I do, and that's what you do. And that's why we're good at what we do, because we love what we do. Because it's not work, and I get up in the morning. Like this morning, I went and picked up a Rolls Royce to review. I mean, and then I head up to the Gold Coast to drive a McLaren. It's a pretty good day, right?
Most people never have that opportunity to sit in those cars.
Yeah, I mean, not every day is like that, and that's the thing. People never.
But every other day you drive what, Lamborghini and Ferrari and Mercedes.
But honestly, like, people look at my Instagram and I only put up the amazing stuff.
Yeah, of
course. They don't realize the 14-hour days every day, all the time, you know, meetings, all the stuff that I do, all the people you manage, all the crap that I have to go through, so going back to UQ, I got a job at UQ. My parents were so happy because they're both academics. And they were so happy that I finally had a real job again. And I could actually earn a salary that was determined and that would help me buy a house. And you know, parents just...
Absolutely.
My parents are not very business savvy, they're very academic, so they were just delighted that their son...
And you're still going the good path, safe path.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was UQ, so there was some element of, nice place to work.
Yes.
But realistically, man, like, I lasted 3 months there before I realized I can't do it for the reasons I described. I thought I'm going to give it one more go, do something I love. So I started car advice. And within three and a half months from when I started car advice, it was making me more money than my job at UQ.
How long was the journey of car advice from the day that you started working on it till the day that you sold it?
About 10 years, 3 months and 6 days, I think.
Which is really...
Not that I remember that exactly. But yeah.
Which is really interesting because most people want to make $60 million in a year or in a week. They don't realize it was still a big journey.
Now, obviously I didn't own the whole business.
Yeah, I understand.
Yeah,
of course.
But you're right. And most people sort of...
But you started the business that was sold for $60+ million. That's the reality.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you know, when I started it, I never would have dreamt it would be worth $1 million.
Not alone, more than that.
Not ever. Like, never would have dreamt it was worth $1 million. And when we first came to raise money and someone started putting in money at valuations over $1 million, I was like,
I'm rich.
Honestly, I never thought that. But I thought, holy shit,
we have created something.
It has some value to someone else. I thought that at some time, there was a point, at one point in my life, when I thought, is this a scam? Am I scamming someone by getting them to put in money at such a ridiculous valuation?
Yes.
But fuck, little did I know that they made so much money with that investment.
It was so cheap.
It was so cheap, I should have raised it at a lot higher value.
Yeah.
So, look, I mean, the journey was a 10-year journey, and it was probably the most stressful 10 years of my life, at least the first 5, because I was broke, man. Like,
because you were putting everything back into the business, I guess.
I said it made more money than my job, but that was being reinvested.
Yeah, of course.
So it took, so there was, I think, 2 defining moments in my life that led me to where I am today. One was the Woolworths guy telling me I didn't get a job. And the second
I think we need to find this guy.
I actually genuinely want to find the guy, but the second was I the place that I used to work at, which is the Library Technology Service at the University of Queensland, they had advertised for my position because they had an additional person to fill, right? So somebody else like me, they wanted to fill that role. And maybe 4 or 5 days before, I was in a UQ work car driving from St. Lucia to Gatton, and I got bored and I started doing a bit of a drift. I started doing a few donuts on such a stupid thing to do at that age, and even stupider because I did one in front of a police bike that I didn't realize, right? And he pulled me over and he gave me a ticket for, I don't even remember what it was whatever he could give me a ticket for, he gave me a ticket for. And I said, okay, that's okay, like, you know, whatever, I'll deal with it. But he took the pleasure of calling UQ and reporting me as well, because the car had UQ written all over it, right? So by the time I got back to work, my boss's boss had a phone call saying one of your cars is being used for drifting. So at that time, they pulled me into the office and said, oh, look, you know, we had some, you know, has this happened? I said, yes, it happened. I don't know, I did something stupid, sorry. They said, okay, no worries, you know, like, also, we've noticed that every time we walk past your screen, there's photos of cars and stuff, you know, like, blah, 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 you know, like, you know, we really want you here, we want you to be more committed to the job. And I said, what job? You don't actually do anything here. Anyway, so they were interviewing for another person, and after those interviews, I literally sat myself down one morning before I went to work and said, I need to quit, like, I need to go and work in car advice full time. I'm wasting my life here. Yes, the salary is okay. Yes, it's going to be secure.
So it's kind of also thanks to that police officer as well.
Kind of, but I don't think I would have got fired, but it was a bit of a wake-up call.
Yeah, it's time to move on.
Not to go and drift on public streets, I would never condone that. But I realised that I need to move on. This is my passion, this is what I want to do. And my parents were horrified. My friends are like, what do you know about cars? You're not a mechanic, you're not a journalist, you're not anybody, really. Like, I have a degree in IT and psychology, like nothing to do with cars. But I was like, yeah, but I love cars.
And especially being called car advice.
I know, right? I think the most common question I got asked by people when I told about car advice was like, what do you know about cars that gives you the right to give advice?
Correct.
And I was like, I don't know. I don't know. I love cars. Like, I don't know. There's no...
But you had a love and passion for it.
Yeah,
it's a good start.
Honestly, like, this whole concept of requiring this ridiculous knowledge to be an expert at something, like, you learn along the way, you know?
And it's also called Google as well. You can find anything.
But I mean, I drove the cars, and obviously the more cars I drove, the more I understood my, you know, job, and the better I got at it. But when I started, I had no idea what I was doing, but I did it.
So what would you say was first 3-5 years hardest on starting it?
Yeah, absolutely, because I quit a job that paid me a reasonable amount of money, secure. Probably could never got fired there because it's a government job. You know how hard it is to get rid of a government employee. And I went on basically on a very, very minimal salary for myself. I brought on a few people along the way to help me with the site, and I lived in my parents' house. I still remember at one stage where I was going on a date with someone, and I had about $8. And I was like, I don't know how this date's going to work, right? But I had about $8, but I was in a really nice Aston Martin that I'd got to review that with.
and I bet you were hoping the tank is full of petrol.
That was very beneficial. But, like, that was my life. Like, it was amazing because I was doing what I loved, but the business was earning more and more money, but I had to pay more people and do more things.
Yeah, of course.
I had no money. I was lucky that I could live at home, so I had somewhere to live.
So you, before even car advice, you tried 16 times. Not once, not 3 times, not 7, not 10, not 12, 16 times. But you still didn't give up. And I'm assuming over 10 years, running car advice, you still had many challenges, but you still kept pushing through.
You know what? I reckon if I hadn't failed 16 times, car advice would never have worked. Because I learned something from every single one of those failures. I wouldn't call them failures, man.
Knowledge.
No one's ever, like yourself, no one's ever
100%
succeeded without failing at some point. You know, like,
Amen.
We're all the same. Like, I have never met a successful person that hasn't had a lot of failures along the way.
Absolutely agree.
So, you know, when I meet someone that is successful that doesn't tell me about their failures, I don't believe them. because either they're lying or they're not successful. Because
unless correct. So from this mid-30s or early mid-30s, what advice, which is always interesting, every time I ask for advice, brings me back to car advice. What advice would you actually give somebody who is 18 years old that has dream and big goals and vision from this perspective, from sitting in your chair and work so hard over the last 15, 16 years to be where you are now? What advice would you give anybody that is so young?
Honestly, especially at that age, your personal risk profile is so low. Like, usually you're either living at home or your living costs are so low. Like, you have such little commitments, and it's the best time to give it a go. Like, the worst that can happen is you fail and then you try again. Like, honestly, that's the worst that can happen. The hardest advice is when someone comes to me, and I get this a lot, they're in their mid to late 40s or early 50s, they've got 2-3 kids, family, mortgage, like, I hate my job, I want to start a new business, what advice can you give me? And I'm like, you should still do it, but the risk profile is so much higher because you've got all these commitments. So when you're in your early 20s or 18 to 30, I would say, and you haven't got all these responsibilities or all this sort of things, man, you have to try. Like, if you want to...
Not much to lose. You can always go back to... I was going to say Woolworths, but you couldn't even go back there.
They wouldn't hire me. I don't have the personality in there.
Which is funny.
Honestly, you just got to start. Just start something. And so many people go, I've got this great idea. I'm like, no, that's nothing. The idea is meaningless. The idea is 5%. The execution is 95%. I mean, my ideas, some of my original ideas of those 16 were way fucking better than car advice.
Yes.
I just didn't know how to do them properly. I had a website called myweblog.com, which at one point had about 80,000 active subscribers.
Which is massive.
Fucking huge. This was before the word blog was a thing, before Blogger was a thing, before any of those businesses sold for hundreds of millions. I had this website. I wrote the whole thing myself. And the reason I turned it off is because it was costing my parents so much hosting it on their credit card, and I didn't know how to make money from it. I had no idea how to make money from it. So one day, I just turned it off with 80,000 plus people using it on a daily basis.
Which is still, even in today's time, there's still a lot of
enormous
people.
I reckon that website was worth probably a couple of mil.
Yeah.
I just didn't know what to do with it, and I didn't know how to run it. I didn't know anything about it.
Yes.
And I didn't understand. And you know what? I learned from that. I really learned from that, because when I saw something else grow that rapidly, I was like, okay,
I need to do something.
I need to monetize. I need to make this to make some money. So,
what would you say is the best thing about running your own business?
I don't know, man. I find it really difficult to take orders from other people. Not because I don't find, I work very collaboratively with people. So, car advice was always ran in a very flat structure.
Yes.
So, my other executives in the business almost had they could say whatever they wanted.
Yes.
And most of them were smarter than me, so I would listen.
Yeah, of course.
Right? But ultimately, I don't need someone to tell me how to do something.
Yes.
Especially if I know how to do it better. You know what I mean? And I think in many ways, car advice is because of me, and the first person that came on board, his name is Anthony. We really just took it on and worked our asses off to make it work, and we didn't need someone to tell us what to do.
And you still had a good relationship with him from start.
I would call him one of my best friends today. Yeah. So absolutely, we never had an argument in 13 years of working together. It's amazing.
Which is massive, because a lot of people, working with anybody for a year, they want to kill them. What would you say is the most challenging thing when it comes to running your own business?
Oh man, so many things. I think the most challenging thing about running a business is finding good people. Like, finding good people is so hard. And one of the ways by which we attracted really good people was to give away equity in our business. So we give away 15% of the company to our staff.
And a lot of them would be
very happy.
Very happy today.
Very happy. And you know what? They help make me happy. Without them, I wouldn't be here, and they got to, make a good amount of money themselves, pay off some houses, whatever they did, you know what I mean? Like, when we sold the business, it was a very happy place. Like, a lot of people were happy.
And interesting is, you do love cars.
I absolutely love cars.
So, I will ask you one question.
I hope it's not technical, because I have no idea.
It's very simple. If you are 18 and you have $7,000 to spend on a car,
Don't spend it on a car.
But you need a car and you have to spend 7,000. What car would you buy? If you had to pick a car, obviously you can't buy brand new, so it's going to be something.
I'd buy $1,000 car and then I put the other 6,000 into a business that I want to start. That's what I do. Like along those,
Which is really good advice.
along those 16 businesses, one of them was like a computer store sort of business, which I actually sold to my business partner for a reasonable amount of money.
Yes.
Not much. And I used that money to buy a WRX STI, and then I spent probably 30 grand modifying that car.
You know, which is interesting. In 2004, my first sports car was Subaru WRX STI.
That's the same time I had one.
In 2004, and I thought that was Ferrari of cars.
Sorry, hang on, I'll take that back. Mine wasn't even an STI, it was just a WRX. It just had STI stuff all over it, which is embarrassing. But I spent so much money on that car.
Still, that car, to this day, I would say, obviously I remember it from a long time ago. I used to always think, best sound car ever.
I wasted so much money in that car. But
Yes.
I have so many good memories at the same time. Previously, I used to have this purple Ford Falcon.
Purple.
Purple, it was lavender. And I was so embarrassed. I used to park it so far away whenever I went out or did anything, so no one could see me get in and out of it. So, you know, and I was proud to finally have a car that I wasn't embarrassed to be in.
Yes.
But it was such a waste of money, man. It was such a waste of money because, and the reason I mention it, is when I started Car Advice, I took on some investor money.
Yes.
Now, if I hadn't bought my WRX,
You would need investors.
my own money. And so, for example, one person who put in $20,000 investment into Car Advice walked away with about 6 to 7 mil. I would have preferred to have kept my $20,000.
Very expensive WRX.
The world's most expensive WRX. Yeah.
Which is interesting. Did you actually end up keeping that car for a long time at all?
I kept it till my wife made me sell it, and I regret selling it every day. So
I actually think they're still great cars. Now you do have few cars.
I do have a few cars.
New car that you just purchased, Lamborghini Performante.
I did.
Orange.
Orange.
Not loud color at all.
Car Advice color.
Car Advice color. It'll give you good memories. You do have a beautiful Ferrari that you purchased probably not more than a year ago.
Just under a year.
Just under a year.
Yeah.
Ferrari 458 Speciale.
Yeah.
Then you have Mercedes SLS.
Yeah, the Gullwing. I love that car.
And then I think one car probably means more to you than all other cars, which you always talk so highly of, is Aston Martin.
My Aston Martin. Yeah, absolutely. It's the first proper exotic car I ever bought.
Would you ever sell it?
If I sell that car, you know things are really bad. So all my other cars, whatever. Like I love them, but I'm not emotionally
attached.
The Aston. So I'll tell you why. Actually, I semi-briefly touched on it. When I first started Car Advice, one of the hardest things for us was to get cars. Really hard to get cars because, I mean, look at me. I was 23, 24, didn't know anything about anything, didn't present well.
And not many people knew.
No one knew me, right?
Or your website, either when you started.
And the whole industry was against us because that was the hardest thing. We were going up against News Corp, Fairfax, big companies.
All paper as well.
Yeah, and online, but they just hated us because we were new, we were no credentials. Who are these people? They're just cowboys. One of the first proper car companies, exotic car companies that came on board and helped us was Aston Martin. And they gave me a car, they gave me a Vantage. It was the first car I drove. And I remember driving it over the Gateway Bridge. It would have been 23, I don't even know. The P-plate laws weren't in back then because there's no way they would let me drive that car. And I remember like driving it and the sensation of this car. And I was like, man, if I ever have any money, I am buying one of these cars because it just made me feel like I was someone, you know, like I was, because you know, I come from a relatively poor background, like it's not, you know, like you're not.
But you came from Iran.
Yeah, exactly, like it's not a, you know, I wasn't driving around a Benz back home sort of thing.
There'd be a lot of Benzes there right now.
But none of them were from my family.
Yeah.
But you know, it gave me this feeling that was really hard to shake. So in 2014, Macquarie Bank purchased a small stake in Car Advice. and I stupidly sold some of my shares. They bought a couple of percent of Alborz at a $25 million valuation, right? And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to sell some shares because I want to buy an Aston. And
again, another expensive car.
So that Aston, yeah, like those shares were worth 2.5 times more, roughly, when we actually sold the company. But you know what, man? I don't regret it. I love that car. I bought it when I couldn't afford it and shouldn't have bought it. But every time I drive that car, it brings me back that feeling of that young boy on the bridge that said, I'm going to do it. Because I feel like I've done it, and that makes me feel great.
I'm actually attached to that car as well. You probably can't remember. One of the first real estate video we done for my company 3.5 years ago. The first car we ever used was your car.
Was it?
Yes.
There you go.
So if you ever sell it, I'll buy it.
As I said, if I'm selling it, things are bad.
I'll buy it if you ever decide to sell it. What is next for you?
Depends who's asking. Look.
It doesn't, not what next idea is, but what is the next 10 years? What's your next journey?
I'm so far away from the idea of retirement that I'm...
You can retire.
I can't. I'm going again. I'm going to start more businesses. I'm so hungry again, you know? Like I've obviously left Alborz.
Yes. That chapter is closed.
That chapter is closed for me. I love the company. I love the people there. Some of the people that are there now were the people that were there with me for long periods of time. I don't work well under a corporate structure, which is, Channel 9 bought the business. I don't work well having to respond to someone from a corporate structure. It's just not how I work. Nothing wrong with that, but it's not me. Like, I don't deal well with having a boss where I feel like we're not doing things the way they should be done.
Yes.
And I don't write report after report after report after report. That's not how you build a successful small business.
You like writing reports by the cars?
Well, I like doing things.
Yes.
I don't like talking about doing things.
What drives you? What motivates you?
For a long time, what motivated me was owning cars like this. And
now when you have
financial security. Financial security was my biggest motivator. I have always been petrified of being poor.
Yes.
It's a scary feeling. And I have been poor along a lot of the journey of Alborz. Like there was a first 5 years where it was tough, man. Like we nearly went insolvent 3 times. Once during the GFC when car companies were going broke, so all our advertising dried up. A couple of times along the way where we were days away from closing or shutting down. We had to raise more money, and it was hard. Like personally, a lot of my friends in that sort of early 20s to late 30s, early 20s to late 20s, they were going out partying. They had normal jobs. They were buying like reasonable cars, and I was broke. Like I had nothing, but I was working on this, and I was like, fuck, I hope this pays off, because like I'm missing out on all this. And I didn't have money to go out, didn't have nice restaurants, didn't have money to buy like a Volkswagen Golf. Didn't have the money. I had nice cars, but they were never mine.
Yes.
They never felt real, right?
Yes.
I never let myself get deluded to think this was real, because it wasn't.
Yes.
That was really hard. That was really, really, really hard. But it's like a graph that goes like this. Like there's some gradualness.
Yes.
Honestly, a life of an entrepreneur is doesn't work. Holy fuck, it works.
Yes. But you gotta keep trying, and you can't give up.
Trying. And from the outside, it goes, oh yeah, that guy just got lucky. It's like, yeah, okay, sure.
You did.
Yeah.
It doesn't work like that.
It doesn't work like that.
So if somebody asks you to give them one piece of advice, what is secret to business success?
Look, I think a lot of people have this strange mindset where they look at people like you, they look at people like me, they look at other people that have got some form of success, however you want to judge it, and they have this weird mindset in their head. They go, I'm probably not as smart as them. I didn't do well at school, so maybe they're, mate, I was so bad at school. Like my grades were terrible. I'm so bad at math. Like I went to uni, I've got 2 degrees, but fuck, I barely graduated. I'm not. Like I think I'm smart, but I'm not. People are so much smarter than me. I've met people that are so much smarter than me. But the one thing I always have is persistence. I never fucking gave up. So if you want advice from me, I think you should embrace failure because you're going to get up and do it again the next day. Different, obviously, not the same thing.
I think even if you had 160 ideas that failed, you'd be still trying.
I like to think so, man. I like to think so. So I'm going to keep going. I'm probably going to fail again. Great. Or I'll keep going. You know, like I'm, as you say, early 30s. So I feel like I've got another 40 years in me to keep trying.
I don't think you will ever retire. What's your next car? You just bought one.
I bought 2 cars in the last 3 weeks, so I think my wife will leave me if I buy another.
But if is there a car that you always wanted that you don't have?
There was a car I always wanted that I literally just bought, which was a Performante, which is a Lambo. Although we were sitting in a Ferrari dealership, so I'll keep my voice.
So edit this part. Just kidding.
Man, you know, there's so many cars that I want, and I'm building a house at the moment, as you know, and it's going to have a reasonably sized garage.
I know you're building a house with 12 garages. Do you think that will become very small?
I hope not, because the reason I didn't buy a house because I couldn't find one with a big enough garage.
Yes.
As you know. And I feel like 10 to 12 is enough, but who knows, right? You know what I want to do? I want to go and buy back my old WRX. I've been trying to find it.
You know what? I thought about that as well, and other day myself actually. It would be good to actually find it.
I want the exact same car back.
It'll be probably worth, $5,000-$10,000.
I know. And we went to Sydney. I've been trying to find the VIN number and trying to work out how to figure out who owns it. I don't know, just random shit like that.
So if anybody is watching this, and if you end up purchasing the car from him, 15 years ago?
10 years.
10 years ago?
Yeah.
What color was it?
Blue with gold wheels.
Mine was blue too. Yeah. Mine had gold wheels too.
Gold wheels. The only spec you buy a WRX in.
Look, I'm not going to say this because there's camera here, but it's truly inspiring watching everything. I mean, I've been watching you for the last 3.5 years because I didn't know you before then. And 3.5 years ago, you were doing extremely well. And now you have just sold a company that was valued over $60 million. And you're still exactly the same.
I don't know about that, man.
No, you are. You're still exactly. You're probably more relaxed. You're probably more relaxed. But you're still same, which is obviously really important. You still got your feet on ground.
Yeah, look, I guess so, man. I never did. I talk about, the need for financial security, and, I've got kids now, so I like the idea of knowing they'll be okay.
Yes.
Like worst case scenario, they'll be okay. Like if I have to sell the Aston, I'll sell the Aston.
Yes.
They'll be okay. Like life's going to be okay.
Was it hard for you to manage balancing family life?
I didn't balance family life.
And business?
I never balanced family life, man. I'm away. That was a big sacrifice.
Yes.
I'm away.
Because you don't see the kids grow.
I didn't. Up until maybe 6 months ago, I was away always.
Yeah.
I was away 2/3 of the year, and even when I was home, I was either jet lagged or on the phone or working. And I've got, an 8-year-old and a 5-year-old, and I feel like, obviously I've seen them.
Yes.
But I do feel like I've missed a lot of that. And
so there's price to pay for everything we do in life.
I'm sure you could do it better than me. Some people can find the balance, but I love my work and I love to build this business, and I love the hope of success, and I dreamt about the success, and that really drove me. And I guess I sort of justified it to myself that it'll benefit everybody long term, and I'm hoping that's the case. But I am spending a lot more time with my kids now that I'm a little bit more free. Bloody hell, they're hard work, hey. Well,
it's been wonderful watching all the progress, and next 10 years, we'll see if you're going to sit in the same chair again, and if there's going to be a company with another 2-3 zeros.
I hope so.
On what you have just achieved right now.
I hope so, man. That's what I'm doing. That's what I want to do. So, not for money.
Yes.
Because I want to. That's what I dream about still.
I think, and the next interview is going to be in your garage.
Hey?
It's going to be in your garage. That's next interview.
Have that house built. So, yeah, I think that would be really cool.
You got a good builder, so we'll get it built.
Awesome.
It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate it.
Thank you.